Great North Woods to the Rockbound Coast and streaming live in HD worldwide at foxbangor.com. More people choose Good Morning Maine.
Hello, everyone. Today on Good Morning Maine, state lawmakers burn the midnight oil to pass a budget plan that includes checks for Mainers. Plus, residents of Tremont consider lifting a hunting ban to deal with an increasing population of deer. And the Brooklyn Boatyard receives a big loan to help boost marine technology and Maine's economy in the process. We'll have that story as well. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us on this Thursday morning. I'm Craig Colson. Janessa Bishop has the day off. We thank you for joining us. We'll have those stories and all the day's news coming up over the next hour, including our Pet of the Week. The folks from Bangor Humane Society will be here with a pet that is looking for a new home. We hope you'll tune in for that as well. But first, we're going to kick things off by checking with Devin Biggs for the forecast, looking like another nice sunny day on the way.
Alrighty, Craig, thank you very much. Happy Thursday. Your first weather forecast brought to you by Quality Automotive and Brewer. Experience a Quality Automotive difference. Reliable service and expert care that you can depend on. Call us to schedule your next appointment. 922-2043. Alrighty, here we go. A little bit of energy up in Canada, but otherwise a nice day on the way for us with a lot of sunshine, and we have high pressure to thank for the nice weather that will be on the way for us. As we do zoom things out, there's some energy off toward the west, and we'll be watching for some rain chances on the way for us, but otherwise some nice weather expected. But either way, Futurecast showing a mostly sunny sky today. Notice some clouds on the way coming up later on tonight, and we'll watch for a little bit of energy on the way for your Friday, but we'll have to wait until Friday night for some more rain chances. Otherwise, gusty winds coming up, reaching up to around 20 to even 30 miles per hour today, even in the parts of the evening. We'll keep those winds going until about Friday, but even then, still some gusts up to around 20 miles per hour. Even for today, sunshine, lower 50s, not bad. There's that south wind up to around 30 miles per hour. Hourly forecast moving forward, lots of sunshine, temperatures in the 50s. Your full 5-day forecast is coming up. Craig?
Looks like a great day ahead. Thank you, Devin. We'll see you a little later on. Well, first this morning, state lawmakers worked well into the night on a state budget plan. The Maine House advanced additions to the spending plan last night, which will include $300 relief checks for more than 500,000 Mainers. It also includes a new 2% tax increase on millionaires, which is expected to generate $150 million over 2 years. Following its passage in the House, it was sent to the Senate for consideration, where it was expected to pass easily by the majority Democrats. The $529 million plan was then planning to head back to the House for final consideration. The Maine House also narrowly passed a bill that aims to limit where federal immigration enforcement can conduct their operations here in Maine. LD 2106 affects public schools, state post-secondary educational institutions, healthcare and child care facilities, along with family child care providers and public libraries. It says anyone acting on behalf of these facilities cannot consent to allow immigration enforcement officers or officers supporting such operations to enter a non-public area of those public facilities. The bill also prohibits the officers from obtaining or even reviewing student, patient, or library records, and requires the Attorney General to develop guidance to help those facilities.
Even during the first Trump administration, we know that ICE did not go into hospitals or courtrooms or schools. There's no reason that this bill can't restore those protections. We need this bill to restore what we had before, to keep our economy safe, to keep our friends and neighbors safe, and to keep the state working.
We're effectively telling our public schools, our libraries, and our healthcare facilities that they should view federal law enforcement not as partners in public safety, but as entities to be managed, restricted, feared, and completely shut out.
Following lengthy testimony, ultimately the House voted to pass LD 2106 with a vote of 77 to 70. The bill now heads to the Senate. It was announced earlier this week that the U.S. and Iran had reached a temporary ceasefire after weeks of conflict. Senator Susan Collins joined us in studio for an in-depth conversation about the ceasefire and other issues of the day. She expressed relief over the newly reached ceasefire and also discussed her vote against the Senate measure concerning congressional approval for military action in Iran.
If the president commits boots on the ground, sends ground troops to Iran, I believe that congressional authorization for such action is completely required under the War Powers Act, or if the military hostilities last 60 days or more, again, I think that congressional approval is necessary, and I would not vote to approve troops on the ground nor an extension beyond 60 days unless there is a dramatic change.
Well, Senator Collins also discussed the impact of gasoline prices and the price of home heating oil, saying she is a strong supporter of the Low-Income Heating Assistance Program. She said that the president's budget proposes to eliminate that program, but she said she will work to increase the funding instead. We'll keep you up to date on that, and a little later on in the broadcast, we'll have the latest on the war with Iran as well. In other news, locally, a man was killed yesterday after crashing a pickup truck in Madison. The Morning Sentinel reports 73-year-old Kenneth Dunphy was behind the wheel when it crashed on Route 148 just before 9 o'clock Wednesday morning. It apparently went off the road and struck a light post. Dunphy was pronounced dead at the scene. It's suspected that the slippery road conditions were a factor in that crash. Authorities have also identified the victim of a deadly fire in the town of Wynne. It was on March 19th when crews were called to that home on Route 168. 5 of the occupants managed to escape from the burning home, but one victim was later found in the remains of the home. The medical examiner's office has now positively identified her as 82-year-old Jane Fogg. The cause of that fire remains under investigation. Elliott Cutler will remain in jail. The former gubernatorial candidate was back in court Wednesday asking that he be released on bail following 4 alleged probation violations. Cutler appeared virtually from jail, his attorney speaking about the alleged probation violations, saying they are non-criminal offenses and that Cutler has already served 60 days in jail. He asked that Cutler be released from jail and confined to his home with restrictions pertaining to the internet and electronic devices that would remain in place. Prosecutors, though, argue that Cutler has not adhered to his probation so far, with alleged violations including seeking escort services, possessing unmonitored devices and pornography, and other alleged attempts to circumvent the terms of his probation. They ask that Cutler continue to be held without bail.
I can't find a bail that would be sufficient to guarantee that Mr. Cutler will not violate his bail while he's out again, and that I'm not satisfied for the motions to revoke pre-conviction, post-conviction bail, that there are any conditions that the court can set. So for those reasons, I'm denying the motion to amend bail or set bail.
It is unclear when Cutler will be back in court regarding the alleged probation violations. Maine State Police say a new scam is targeting individuals on the sex offender registry who are on probation here in Maine. State Police say a letter is being mailed to people claiming there has been a data migration error in their records management system, and they need that person to email personal identifying information to an email address listed on the letter. State Police say neither the Maine Sex Offender Registry nor the Maine Department of Corrections would ever send a letter of that kind, asking an individual to send sensitive information in that format. They say if you do get a letter like that, you should report it to the Maine Sex Offender Registry or your local law enforcement agency. Ellsworth High School administrators are taking action after what they say have been repeated vandalism to the school's boys' bathrooms. According to the Bangor Daily News report, boys' bathrooms have been closed on and off throughout the school year after one of the bathroom's interiors was, quote, trashed. Toilet paper dispensers were ripped down and toilets were clogged and overflowing because of too much paper. Male students were then told to use single occupancy bathrooms that are open to anyone. No students have been disciplined so far. A Down East community is considering whether to overturn a nearly century-old ban put in place for conservation and public safety. As our Alex Schley tells us, while there is broad agreement that the deer population needs to be addressed on MDI, there are also real concerns about what changing the policy could mean for public safety.
On May 11th, Tremont voters will decide whether to allow limited deer hunting by residents and property owners.
Well, the deer population is very large.
Hunting has been prohibited anywhere on Mount Desert Island since the 1930s.
You can see anywhere between 20 to 100 in an evening drive between Southwest and Tremont.
As both the human and deer population in Tremont have grown, officials say so have the number of incidents.
Very common to have deer vehicle crashes. They are constantly causing nuisances with people's gardens and landscaping.
State wildlife officials say this is not the first time deer numbers have become a concern for Mount Desert Island communities.
Really every 5 or 10 years with some town on MDI where they talk about different deer removal options, and those planning things, they get to various stages, but they usually fall short.
Town officials say that at the request of residents, any approved hunting would be strictly regulated.
Archery and shotgun only. You have to be a Tremont resident or a property owner in Tremont to do it. You'll have to come here to the town office to verify that information and get a permit. It is required to be from a fixed blind or a tree stand, so there's no walking through the woods looking for a deer.
Hunters would also need landowners' permission, and property owners would be required to disclose where stands are located. If passed, the ordinance would allow hunting each November for 3 years, before going back to the Select Board for review. In Tremont, Alex Schley for ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
And the time now is 8:11. Coming up next on Good Morning Maine, the Brooklyn Boatyard has received an important loan from the state that will help it expand and boost the state's economy in the process. We'll have the details ahead. But first, another look at that weather forecast. A beautiful day ahead today. Mostly sunny skies. It'll be windy too, with highs near 52 degrees. Partly cloudy and breezy tomorrow, or rather tonight, with lows dropping down to the low 30s. And then partly cloudy tomorrow, with highs near 61 degrees. Nice stretch of weather upon us. We'll be back with more right after this.
Blazing Trails, located in Lincoln, is your #1 trusted caregiver storefront. From personalized consultations to the highest quality product, Blazing Trails provides outstanding patient services to Eastern and Central Maine. Discover how we're blazing the trails to quality holistic medicine.
A few weeks ago, I went down to the basement to see what was happening with the boilers and opened the door, and there was about 12 to 14 inches of water in our basement. I knew who to call right away, and that was Bouchard. They were here within a half hour. They work well with our insurance company. They're very, very efficient, and all I have to do is call them any time of day. They're going to take care of me. Our business is our life, and that's why I don't hesitate to recommend them to other people.
Come home to the kitchen of your dreams. At Atlantic Designs, we redefine kitchen spaces, turning your dreams into reality. Our experienced designers ensure you get a stunning new kitchen while bringing function and style to every corner. Whether you're on a tight budget or ready to splurge, we've got the perfect plan for you. Your dream kitchen is closer than you think. So contact Atlantic Designs today and start the process. Your dream kitchen awaits with the kitchen people at Atlantic Designs.
Blazing Trails, located in Lincoln, is your #1 trusted caregiver storefront. From personalized consultations to the highest quality product, Blazing Trails provides outstanding patient services to Eastern and Central Maine. Discover how we're blazing the trails to quality holistic medicine.
This is MasterChef Global Gauntlet for incredible territories.
This is my family history on a plate.
We're about to go to a penalty shootout.
It's like a body slam.
I thought the World Cup was competitive.
Is this a Band-Aid?
MasterChef Global Gauntlet kicks off Wednesday, April 15th on Fox.
Welcome back, everyone. We hope you're having a nice morning. A Mid-Coast Maine boatyard is getting a major boost from the state, aimed at expanding advanced marine technology while also preserving traditional craftsmanship. Our Alexa Kennedy tells us more.
Brooklyn Boatyard was awarded a $1.5 million zero-interest loan through the Maine Technology Institute. The funding will support construction of a new service building, complete with an advanced composites room and expanded machine shop. Since 1960, the business has specialized in custom boat building, which has grown to blend traditional wooden craftsmanship with modern technology. Chief Operating Officer Nick Carter says the timing aligned well with increasing customer demand.
Just in the last 5 years, we've seen really substantial growth. It's been a good market for boats. We're applying new techniques all the time, and as the technology advances, we're really incorporating that into our boats.
The state's investment is part of a broader push to drive growth in Maine's innovation economy. At Brooklyn Boatyard, that means blending technology with tradition.
We've always stayed much more grounded in kind of old school craftsmanship than most any other place has. But we still have to embrace all the modern technology in order to stay up to date and stay competitive in a modern boat building environment.
The Brooklyn Boatyard team says the technology will be used to aid employees rather than replace them.
We're replacing kind of the lower skilled, less fun parts that don't necessarily teach boat building. They're not part of our track that gets people to be skilled craftsmen.
Brooklyn Boatyard President Brian Larkin says the upgrades will also improve working spaces for employees and eventually create new job opportunities. In Brooklyn, Alexa Kennedy, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Some wonderful news there. Well, meanwhile, the Husson University campus was bursting with school spirit for the 8th annual Giving Day and 1st annual Spirit Day. Giving Day is a 24-hour fundraising campaign that supports clubs, sports, and academics. A staple of that event is the Cash Cab, a decked-out security card inspired by the Cash Cab television show. Students donate at least $5 for a chance to ride in the cart while answering Husson-themed trivia questions along the way. However, 3 wrong answers and you're immediately kicked out of that cart. Organizers hope to show how much fun it can be giving back.
What we're trying to do is bring the entire Husson community together to spread the message that it doesn't matter how much you give, it's the fact that you give that really makes a big impact.
They also marked the 1st annual Husson Spirit Day. Students, faculty, and alumni were encouraged to wear their green and gold attire. Husson University's president says the hope is to further elevate their sense of community.
Gives lots of visibility for how much enthusiasm and commitment to the Husson mission that we have here on our campus, and it also allows our alumni to be connected, whether they have their Husson sweatshirts or a mug through social media. They can still be committed and connected regardless of their location across the country or throughout the world.
A lot of exciting things happening there at Husson University. All right, the time now is 8:17 after the break. The ceasefire with Iran is underway this morning, but the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz is in jeopardy. We'll tell you why coming up. Plus, students from several schools have been competing in a farm-to-table cook-off to highlight the importance of school nutrition programs. We'll give you a sample coming up on Good Morning Maine.
Chevy trucks are as capable and dependable as the Chevy people who drive them. You probably know one, your sister, your buddy, the ones who always show up. They all have that little extra something. And maybe you got it too.
It's Chevy Truck Month. Get supplier discount for everyone pricing for over $8,300 in total value on this 2026 Chevy Silverado 1500. Plus, Costco executive members can get a $12.50 members-only incentive.
When I was 29, I was diagnosed with cancer. And I think part of research and advocating for more money for cancer research allows survivors to have more time. Senator Collins supports and advocates for more funding for cancer research so that people can have better treatments, they can have better outcomes, and therefore they can live better lives as cancer survivors. Thank you, Senator Collins. Continue fighting for our families.
At Spectrum, we believe a great connection shouldn't come with compromise. And now, it doesn't have to. Get Spectrum fiber-powered internet. And when you add 2 mobile phone lines, it's just $30 a month each. Experience the fastest internet and most reliable 5G network. And save $1,000 on internet and mobile in your first year. Guaranteed. That's the Spectrum Savings Guarantee. Call now or go online to save $1,000 on internet and mobile.
That ought to do it.
Who hurt you?
School nutrition teams from all around the state have been competing in the annual Farm to School Cook-Off. And on Wednesday, the competition came to a conclusion with one team being crowned the cook-off champion. Our Grace Blanchard shares more.
Competitors in Maine's annual Farm to School Cook-Off faced off in a final battle at Bangor High School on Wednesday.
The team that wins today will receive a plaque, a Farm to School Champion Award.
Teams representing MSAD 1, MSAD 52, and RSU 22 have been competing in regional competitions as part of the Maine Department of Education's 11th annual competition that aims to highlight school nutrition programs.
We really want to promote all the great work that's happening in school nutrition programs across Maine. We really are a leader in the country and the Northeast when it comes to local foods and school meals.
Teams must prepare breakfast and lunch meals all within a set time frame, using at least 1 USDA food and 3 local ingredients.
We're all bringing different ideas and kind of collaborating, and yes, we're all competing, but it's a really good thing to be able to see what the other people are doing.
Local foods play an essential role in school nutrition efforts.
We're using local ingredients and then therefore supporting the farmers who can then continue to create these local ingredients, and it's a rising tide that lifts all ships. Our kids get to eat great local produce, and then our farmers are also able to survive. So
the judges ultimately crowned Team Nourish Kids of RSU 22 as the cook-off champions. All recipes presented during the cook-off will now be compiled into a cookbook for other school nutrition teams to use in lunchrooms statewide.
This is a way that we can kind of push this towards them, and then and at least in one small way we can make sure they're getting a good nutritious meal.
In Bangor, Grace Blanchard, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Congratulations to all the participants. All right, the time now is 8:22. Let's turn things back over to Devin for a full look at our weather forecast.
Alrighty, Craig, thank you very much. Your full weather forecast brought to you by Quality Automotive and Brewer. Experience a Quality Automotive difference. Reliable service and expert care that you can depend on. Call us to schedule your next appointment. 922-2043. Wave height's very quiet out there this morning at around 2 to 3 feet. According to the buoys, we have no advisories in effect along the coastline because of the low surf. 2 to 4 feet farther out towards sea. Meanwhile, high pressure keeping us calm on land as well. We do have low pressure farther off towards the north and west, so with the two areas very close together, the winds will be rather active coming up throughout the daytime period today. This energy will be tracking off towards the east. It will be losing its precipitation as it does get closer to us, but we will notice the energy as it does move in later on tonight. So sunshine today. We'll notice the cold front moving in later on tonight. Not much fanfare with it, but even as we head towards your Friday, some clouds approaching. There's the rainfall on the way as we head towards Friday night, and even as we head towards your Saturday, we'll still notice the clouds. Not a lot of rainfall with this. We'll notice around 1/4 of an inch, maybe up to 1/2 inch of precipitation before we're all finished up with this. So nothing too ridiculous. We could use the precipitation, though. Still moderate to severe drought across a good part of the state, and a lot of the country under some kind of drought right now. Southern parts of the U.S., even the western parts of the U.S. under some form of drought right now. So we could definitely use the precipitation in many parts of the U.S. at this time. Gusty winds a thing today, up to 20 to 30 miles per hour. We'll keep the gusty winds going tonight and even more as we head towards tomorrow. So an active time for the wind at this point. Sunshine and windy today, lower 50s for the high, south wind at around 30 miles per hour. Tonight, low 30s, partly cloudy and breezy, south wind at around 25 miles per hour. And then there's tomorrow, low 60s, not bad. Partly cloudy, the wind's kind of backing off out of the south at around 5 to 10 miles per hour. Let's check out your extended forecast brought to you by Quality Automotive and Brewer, showing a chance for morning rain showers on your Saturday. Saturday, becoming partly cloudy with highs in the low 50s, and then mid-50s coming up for your Sunday under a partly cloudy sky. Rain chances for your Monday, highs back in the low 60s.
Donald Trump and Susan Collins have sent us back into another war, sending billions overseas. In the Senate, I'll focus on the wars Maine families are facing here at home, bringing down costs, improving our schools, and keeping hospitals open. I'm Graham Plattner, and I approve this message.
It's mowing season. And Bad Boy Mowers has the best lineup in the game. Built to win with more power, advanced engineering, and performance that never quits. Whether you're playing on this field or this field. So this mowing season, raise your game and join the team. Bad Boy, mow with an attitude.
With over 30 years of experience, Patriot General Contractors knows how to get your home renovation project done right. Our certified contractors can help you build, redesign, or finish the project of your dreams. Check out Facebook page for reviews and visit patriotgeneralcontractors.com to schedule your quote today. Patriot General Contractors, redesigning your properties for the future.
Craving something delicious? Welcome to High Street Market, located at 167 Enfield Road in Lincoln. Breakfast options? Grab a cup of coffee and try one of our sandwiches or burritos. When breakfast is over, we're just getting started. Pizza, subs, burgers, and pastries. Come get lost in Danny's Beer Cave. Order online and save 10% off your first order. High Street Market, where your taste buds go to party.
I voted for Susan Collins, but she's not working for us. The corrupt politicians and the greedy corporations, they don't rest. But neither does Graham Plattner, veteran and oyster farmer. Mainers first, Maine always.
I'm Graham Plattner, and I approve this message.
Now to the latest with the war in Iran. The White House saying a fragile ceasefire is holding this morning, but an issue arising. Iran is refusing to reopen traffic through the Strait of Hormuz, claiming the U.S. has gone back on one of its promises. ABC's Olivia Rubin has more.
Overnight, the first test for President Trump's fragile ceasefire.
No ceasefire ever goes without a little bit of choppiness.
Iran now balking at Trump's main request, reopening the Strait of Hormuz, because they say the Trump administration reversed course on a key element of the plan for Israel to stop bombing Lebanon. But the U.S. saying that was never part of the deal at all.
I think this comes from a legitimate misunderstanding. I think the Iranians thought that the ceasefire included Lebanon, and it just didn't. We never made that promise.
Israel launching a barrage of attacks on the country. At least 182 people killed on Wednesday alone, the health ministry said. Now, Iran keeping a tight hold on the strait once again. This video showing the traffic there, few vessels crossing.
The only way to really bring down oil and gas prices and other prices that they're driving up is to end this illegal war of choice and to do it now.
The average gallon of gas at a staggering $4.16, a far cry from pre-war prices below $3 a gallon. Experts say even if the strait fully reopens, it will take months for consumers to see any relief at the pump. Overnight, the president posting on social media the U.S. military will remain in and around Iran during the ceasefire, strikingly adding the U.S. military is, quote, looking forward, actually, to its next conquest. And with all the uncertainty here, the White House now saying the first in-person negotiations will occur this weekend in Pakistan. Olivia Rubin, ABC News, Washington.
Meanwhile, the man known as the Gilgo Beach serial killer has admitted to his crimes. Rex Heuermann appeared in court yesterday where he changed his plea to guilty in the murders of 8 women. The New York architect had been living a double life, targeting sex workers over 2 decades, beginning in 1993. Their remains were all found over a number of years, scattered along Gilgo Beach on Long Island. Some of the victims' families were also in court yesterday as Heuermann pled guilty. He'll now spend the rest of his life in prison. Quick update to a story we brought to you yesterday. You may recall the story of a Hawaiian doctor who was accused of trying to murder his wife by pushing her from a cliff. He was charged with murder, but after deliberations yesterday, the jury found him guilty of the lesser charge of attempted manslaughter. Gerhard Koning will now be sentenced sometime in August. Well, experts and tech gurus are raising new concerns about the power of artificial intelligence and global security. It comes after the AI company Anthropic held off releasing its new model to the public out of concerns what would it do and what could it do potentially to crippling computer networks. Olivia Rubin also has that story.
This morning, artificial intelligence experts sounding the alarm after AI giant Anthropic revealed a new model it says is too powerful to release to the public.
Imagine a world where everyone had a nuclear bazooka, basically.
Anthropic says its new model, called Claude Mythos, can identify software vulnerabilities with ease, finding thousands of security issues across nearly every major operating system and web browser. And in something out of a sci-fi movie, Claude Mythos was placed in a secure environment with no internet access, managing to break out.
During testing, Claude Mythos Preview broke out of a sandbox environment, built a moderately sophisticated multi-step exploit to gain internet access, and emailed a researcher while they were eating a sandwich in the park.
Experts say in the wrong hands, this technology could be used to exploit electric grids, hospitals, and even military systems. Now, instead of releasing Claude Mythos to the public, Anthropic is releasing it just to a small number of companies, including Amazon, Google, and Apple. The goal? To allow tech companies to patch holes in their cybersecurity before they're exploited. Anthropic saying this will eventually help the U.S. defend against foreign cyber attacks. Some experts say it's time for nations to work together on handling this technology.
Both China and America will be hugely vulnerable to criminals within their own societies when they have these tools, much more vulnerable than they're going to be to any threat the other would pose.
Olivia Rubin, ABC News, Washington.
Now to the Artemis II mission returning from the moon. We heard from the astronauts overnight, and we're also learning about the food they've been eating while in space. Sophie Flay with that report.
From Integrity, we are ready for the event.
Overnight, the Artemis II crew checking in as they prepare for one of the most dangerous parts of the mission, re-entry into Earth's atmosphere. They're expected to reach a speed of nearly 35,000 feet per second, ahead of splashdown off the San Diego coast tomorrow.
We were asked, what are we looking forward to? And I said splashdown. And there's so much data that you've seen already, but all the good stuff is coming back with us. There's so many more pictures, so many more stories.
Beyond all that data, this mission is also testing how humans survive in space, right down to what they eat.
Those are green beans. So we do have to eat our vegetables even in space.
The food is designed to balance calorie needs, hydration, and nutrition, while still accommodating the astronauts' preferences. The crew started choosing their meals years ago.
That's when we have crew members come in to try all the food we have to offer on the standard menu, and then work with crew members to come up with this personalized menu.
Without refrigeration as an option, many meals are freeze-dried and rehydratable. The menu includes 189 items, including beverages such as coffee, lemonade, and cocoa, and food choices like tortillas, mac and cheese, and beef brisket. Some Canadian favorites are on board for mission specialist Jeremy Hansen, along with 5 different hot sauces, and for good reason.
Due to the microgravity, crew members' body fluid shift upwards. That make them have like a stuffy nose sensation. You don't smell things very well in microgravity. And the smell of the food is a big part of your sensory perception of the food.
The crew even has shrimp cocktail, an item that was also available to astronauts during the Apollo program nearly 60 years ago. Sophie Flay, ABC News, New York.
I'd like to try it sometime. I wonder if they have space tacos. I don't know, I can't imagine going up to space without some tacos at least. All right, coming up on the second half of the newscast, we'll meet Maine's Game Warden of the Year, and we'll also meet our Pet of the Week. Don't go away.
Chevy trucks are as capable and dependable as the Chevy people who drive them. You probably know one. Your sister. Your buddy. The ones who always show up. They all have that little extra, something. And maybe You got it, Tim.
It's Chevy Truck Month. Get supplier discount for everyone pricing for over $8,300 in total value on this 2026 Chevy Silverado 1500. Plus, Costco executive members can get a $12.50 members-only incentive.
Are your gutters weighed down by debris causing them to sag and overflow? I'm Tony Hafford with TC Hafford Basement Systems. Clogged gutters lead to costly repairs for your home, so skip the cleaning and stop the clogs with Gutter Shutter. Gutter Shutter, the world's best gutter, is a high-performance gutter with a lifetime no-clog guarantee. Stop the clutter, get Gutter Shutter. Call TC Hafford Basement Systems today for all things basementy.
You're watching Fox 22, Bangor.
Welcome back, everyone. Today is Thursday, April 9th, 2026. This is also the last day of Passover. Let's get right into some history. It was on this date back in 1865, Confederate General Robert E. Lee surrendered his army to Union General Ulysses S. Grant. That meeting took place at Appomattox Courthouse in Virginia following 4 years of Civil War. The fighting had killed 360,000 Union troops and 260,000 Confederate troops. In 1912, on this day, the first exhibition baseball game was held at Fenway Park. It took place between the Boston Red Sox and the team from Harvard University. In 1942, during World War II, some 75,000 Philippine and American soldiers surrendered to Japanese troops. The prisoners of war were then forced to march 65 miles to POW camps in what has become known as the Bataan Death March. Thousands of prisoner soldiers were killed or died en route to those camps. In 1959, NASA introduced the Mercury 7 astronauts. They were America's first astronauts, and the group included John Glenn, who became the first American to orbit the Earth. 1965, the Houston Astrodome opened up, becoming the first indoor air-conditioned sports stadium. And in 2003, finally, Baghdad fell to American troops during the Iraq War after 6 days of fighting. Today's birthdays include actress Elle Fanning, who is 28 years old today, actor Dennis Quaid is 72, and talk show host Joe Scarborough is 63 years old today. Happy birthday to them and to you also, if your birthday is today. We're certainly going to be having a nice day around here today. Lots of sunny skies on the way. Let's check back in with Devin for a look at that forecast.
Alrighty, Craig, thank you very much. Happy Thursday. Your first weather forecast brought to you by Quality Automotive and Brewer. Experience the Quality Automotive difference. Reliable service and expert care that you can depend on. Call us to schedule your next appointment. 922-2043. Alrighty, here we go. A little bit of energy up in Canada, but otherwise a nice day on the way for us with a lot of sunshine, and we have high pressure to thank for the nice weather that will be on the way for us. As we do zoom things out, there's some energy off toward the west, and we'll be watching for some rain chances on the way for us, but otherwise some nice weather expected. But either way, Futurecast showing a mostly sunny sky today. Notice some clouds on the way coming up later on tonight, and we'll watch for a little bit of energy on the way for your Friday, but we'll have to wait until Friday night for some more rain chances. Otherwise, gusty winds coming up, reaching up to around 20 to even 30 miles per hour today, even in the parts of the evening. We'll keep those winds going until about Friday, but even then, still some gusts up to around 20 miles per hour. Even for today, sunshine, lower 50s, not bad. There's that south wind up to around 30 miles per hour. Hourly forecast moving forward, lots of sunshine, temperatures in the 50s. Your full 5-day forecast is coming up. Craig?
Looks fantastic. Thank you, Devin. We'll see you later on again. And also still ahead this morning, we'll hear from Jack Webb with all the day's sports news, and we'll meet our pet of the week. Don't go away.
Bangor, ready to get rugged? Join the community April 20th for the massive grand opening of Rugged Roots Trading Post, Stillwater Avenue, Bangor. Meet the crew. Explore a wide selection of premium Maine-grown products. Doors open 9 a.m. Cut rate prices you won't believe. Can't wait till 4/20? They're open now. Or visit ruggedrootstradingpost.com. For use only by adults 21 years of age and older. License number AMS 1775.
At Toyota, we believe longevity is the true measure of affordability. The longer something lasts, the further your money goes. So with Toyota being the longest lasting brand, your money goes the furthest. Now, during our longest lasting value event, you could get a $259 a month lease on an all-wheel drive Corolla Cross SUV with a $14,064 total contract cost and 2 years no cost maintenance. See your New England Toyota dealer, your all-wheel drive headquarters. Toyota, let's go places.
When I had first left for college, I was super excited to start pursuing my dreams, and I had met so many amazing people my freshman year. Yeah, some days were really hard, balancing work life and classes, but most of them, they were the best of my life, because I had something not everyone gets. A dad inspiring me every step of the way, and I'm so happy to graduate beside you.
Think you're good at trivia? Arrange these holidays, these historic firsts, these animals. By the way,
I have no idea.
Congratulations, you have built the perfect line. I'm Deborah Norville, and this is The Perfect Line.
Onion rings before, in between onion rings and pizza.
Definitely after. Oh, this is what happy looks like.
Weekdays at 10 on Fox 22.
Fox UFL Friday. The Orlando Storm. Touchdown! The Louisville Kings. What a play! Friday at 8 Eastern on Fox.
Welcome back in, folks. Spring season is almost underway, and the Herman Hawks are preparing to make another run at the Class B state title. Our Max Sturm has a story.
To make it to the state title game once is an accomplishment in itself. To make it 2 times in a row is a whole other challenge. But that is exactly what the Herman Hawks softball team is seeking out in 2026. That goal starts with preseason practices, where the Hawks must work to become a cohesive unit on the field and build trust.
We all work pretty hard off the off season, so we come in kind of like that much further ahead in the year. So now we're just working on like how to work together.
I'm fortunate that a lot of my kids play year round, and so we really highlight the fundamentals. That gives us the ability when we come out here to kind of work on the mental side of the game and work on the strategy of the game.
The Hawks are without their large senior core from last year. And the 2 seniors on this year's squad say leadership will need to be an attribute displayed by every player.
We're a very small group, so the more we speak out, the better we're going to be, I think, and we lead as an example.
We always say to be a leader, you have to be the hardest working, so we find that everyone who's like working hard or going out of their way wants to be a leader, and we're all kind of leaders here. We don't have like people who like captains necessarily.
A championship-level team requires championship-level culture, a crucial piece of the puzzle the Hawks have zero doubts about when it pertains to their team.
We harp on this all the time. We always talk about the fact that, you know, talent can win games, but it's a team that wins championships.
You know the person behind you has your back, and if you make a mistake, like you know your teammate's going to pick you up. Nobody's going to be upset, and you're going to be able to get the next one.
Maintaining that mentality through the entirety of the season is the key the Herman Hawks say will finally get them over the hump.
It's just bringing everyone together and having that culture, because I think last year we got down on each other a little bit when we had that 1-0 run.
I think it's going to be the culture, because we know we're a talented group. We just have to know that we can truly trust each other.
They're motivated, they've been there, and it's just a matter right now of going out every day and staying focused and locked in and improving every day.
I definitely know that we can do it, and I have full confidence in my team.
From Herman, Max Sturm, ABC 7 and Fox 22 Sports.
Thank you for that, Max. Good luck to those Hawks. Well, hockey fans, the Boston Bruins have a 99% chance to make the playoffs with just 3 games remaining, and the Bees just added some firepower for that push. Boston signed 2025 7th overall pick James Higgins to his entry-level contract. The Boston College Eagle signed an AHL deal with Providence back in March to begin his pro career, but many assume this call-up was coming before season's end. Higgins led the Hockey East in scoring this past season, recording 23 goals and 24 assists. Bruins fans hoping the 5'11", 193-pound forward can have an impact as the Bees make a run at the postseason. He'll wear number 44 with the Bruins, a number worn by Dennis Seidenberg, and will make his debut at the Garden on Saturday afternoon against the Lightning. That is great news. Following their third win of the season on Tuesday night, the Red Sox had a quick turnaround and we're back at it on Wednesday at 1:35, looking for a series win. Sonny Gray on the bump for the Sox, and he had himself a day. Here he is in the third, 2 in scoring position, and he fans the batter to get out of the inning. Next frame now, Wilson Contreras up with the bases loaded. He draws the walk, 1-0 Sox. That's one way to open the scoring right there. Then it's Wilyer Abreu's turn. Same inning, he drives one hard at former Red Sox David Hamilton. It takes a wild hop to the shortstop who fires it to first, but Abreu gets there safe with an RBI single. Top of the 7th now, Gray still on the bump, but after this out, his day would be done. 6 1/3 innings. No earned runs and 2 strikeouts, exactly what the Red Sox needed from a starter. Then in the bottom of the frame, Story's bat is heating up. He pokes a single out to left center, which scores a run as the Sox take the series against the now 8-4 Brewers with this 5-0 win. Well, Cooper Flagg is making a late push for Rookie of the Year. His campaign continued on Tuesday night in Los Angeles. Flagg received a pass, drove down the lane, and put longtime veteran Brooke Lopez on a poster. I mean, what a slam from Flagg. He's been doing that to people all year long. Lopez, his latest victim. Flagg scored 25 points to go along with 9 rebounds in the Mavericks' loss to the Clippers. Flagg's currently a -290 favorite to win NBA Rookie of the Year with just 3 games remaining this season. Finally, golf fans, get your picks in because the Masters tournament starts Thursday morning. Round 1 coverage begins Thursday morning on ESPN+, Masters.com, and the Masters app. Main coverage begins on Amazon Prime from 1 to 3, then ESPN from 3 to 7:30. Same deal for Round 2 on Friday with morning coverage on those outlets and the main broadcast at 3 on ESPN. On Saturday, it switches over to CBS. Same thing on Sunday with final round coverage on CBS from 2 to 7. Hard to pick him this year. I hope Justin Rose finally gets his due. For now, that's all the time we have for sports. We'll be right back after the break.
Paramount Paving, Maine's go-to for all your paving and seal coating. Paramount Paving offers commercial and residential paving and seal coating services throughout eastern and central Maine. Give us a call for a free estimate today. Paramount Paving. When it comes to paving, we are Paramount.
Welcome to outdoor living. Welcome to Granville Stone and Hearth. Goodness knows we've been cooped up long enough. Make plans now to enjoy the outside of your home, too. Come to Granville and see, touch, and imagine what you can do in your backyard. Light a path, light a fire, grill a meal, sit a bit. It's all in stock. There's a staycation right outside your door with expert help from Granville, one of the largest outdoor living suppliers in Maine. Granville Stone and Hearth, Main Road, Holden.
John Brown first opened his own appliance store in Ellsworth in 1976. With his gift of storytelling, a strong work ethic, and a philosophy of putting others first, John and his wife and children saw the business prosper and grow. Today's 3rd and 4th generation of family and their entire team continue to follow the example set by their grandparents and parents. Brown Appliance and Mattress, High Street, Ellsworth, a family tradition of quality, value, and customer service that always puts you first.
Pato O'Ward was born with his foot on the gas. He once met Slow. They didn't get along. You could put him behind any wheel, and he wouldn't just have fans. He'd have groupies. Fortunately for the people of Concord Acres, Pato chose to drive here. You want to catch Pato O'Ward? Welcome to the fastest racing on Earth.
Paramount Paving, Maine's go-to for all your paving and seal coating. Paramount Paving offers commercial and residential paving and seal coating services throughout eastern and central Maine. Give us a call for a free estimate today. Paramount Paving. When it comes to paving, we are Paramount.
Welcome back, everyone. Well, it's time to meet our pet of the week, Gabby, our friend from Bangor, Humane, joining us once again. How you doing, Gab?
Doing good.
Yeah, good to see you. Got another little friend with you here.
Another one.
You keep bringing me these cute little irresistible kittens.
It's tempting.
Yeah.
This is Zach.
Hi, Zach.
Is about 2.5 months old. He's been in foster care for some time. He's really high energy. He's a kitten.
He won't stop moving.
He won't stop moving at all, and he won't stop purring either. He's so friendly and so sweet. He just wants to be everywhere at once, which is very typical for a kitten.
Yeah.
He's just a baby. He's the last one left in his litter. He needed to gain some more weight. He was quite small compared to the siblings and was recovering from an upper respiratory infection, but he's good to go and ready for a home now.
Yeah, he's 100% right now.
He is.
So.
He's on it. He would do great with another cat, with dogs, with kids, with everything. He's a really awesome kitten.
Yeah, he is great too. Kind of makes me want to have another kitten.
I know.
Just a little bit, but look at that face right there. This is kitten season. It's springtime in Maine, so you guys are probably getting a bunch of kittens now, huh?
It is kitten season. We have a lot of foster homes that are so great and taking in kittens all the time. We're always looking for more foster homes for kittens.
Right.
A lot of them are still too young for adoption, so it's going to be a few weeks before they're ready. But we are having a kitten shower this week. It is a donation drive this year. We don't have enough kittens to do an adoption event, unfortunately.
Right.
But
that'll change. Well, let me see it for a second.
Your turn.
What are you doing? What are you doing?
We have a donation drive going. All of the information for that and our wish lists are on Facebook. If you donate in person, you get a free cupcake, so a little incentive for you. Hannaford donated a lot to us, so that's really awesome. We need a lot of kitten food, kitten formula, kitten supplies.
Always need that kind of thing.
Always, and it's a really great time of year to get all of them.
So is that happening this weekend?
All throughout this week. Okay. Saturday will be the last day.
Okay. Where do you think you're going? He's going to, he's leaving us. He's going to go check things out. All right.
Yep.
Well, Bangor Humane Society could always use some help. If you'd like to help, you can always stop by there, and whether it's financial or maybe you can volunteer some time.
Definitely.
You deal with volunteers all the time.
Yep.
And if you're looking for an animal, it's the right place to go too.
Definitely.
So, all right, Gabby, thank you for coming in. I'm going to go try to find that cat now. He's taken off somewhere. Awful cute, though.
He is cute.
Go down to the Humane Society. Adopt this cat. You won't be sorry.
We have a lot.
All right. Now we're going to send things back over to Devin for a final look at that forecast.
Alrighty, Craig, thank you very much. Your full weather forecast brought to you by Quality Automotive and Brewer. Experience a Quality Automotive difference. Reliable service and expert care that you can depend on. Call us to schedule your next appointment. 922-2043. Wave Heights very quiet out there this morning at around 2 to 3 feet. According to the buoys, we have no advisories in effect along the coastline because of the low surf. 2 to 4 feet farther out towards sea. Meanwhile, high pressure keeping us calm on land as well. We do have low pressure farther off towards the north and west, so with the two areas very close together, the winds will be rather active coming up throughout the daytime period today. This energy will be tracking off towards the east. It will be losing its precipitation as it does get closer to us, but we will notice the energy as it does move in later on tonight. So sunshine today. We'll notice the cold front moving in later on tonight. Not much fanfare with it, but even as we head towards your Friday, some clouds approaching. There's the rainfall on the way as we head towards Friday night, and even as we head towards your Saturday, we'll still notice the clouds. Not a lot of rainfall with this. We'll notice around 1/4 of an inch, maybe up to 1/2 inch of precipitation before we're all finished up with this. So nothing too ridiculous. We could use the precipitation, though. Still moderate to severe drought across a good part of the state, and a lot of the country under some kind of drought right now. Southern parts of the U.S., even the western parts of the U.S. under some form of drought right now. So we could definitely use the precipitation in many parts of the U.S. at this time. Gusty winds a thing today, up to 20 to 30 miles per hour. We'll keep the gusty winds going tonight and even more as we head towards tomorrow. So an active time for the wind at this point. Sunshine and windy today, lower 50s for the high, south wind at around 30 miles per hour. Tonight, low 30s, partly cloudy and breezy, south wind at around 25 miles per hour. And then there's tomorrow, low 60s, not bad. Partly cloudy, the wind's kind of backing off out of the south at around 5 to 10 miles per hour. Let's check out your extended forecast brought to you by Quality Automotive and Brewer, showing a chance for morning rain showers on your Saturday, becoming partly cloudy with highs in the low 50s, and then mid-50s coming up for your Sunday under a partly cloudy sky. Rain chances for your Monday, highs back in the low 60s.
The Farmer's Table in Corinna brings you outstanding breakfasts, lunches, and dinners made from farm-grown fresh ingredients. Dinner specials are available every day. Enjoy our homemade desserts, and above all, bring your appetite to the Farmer's Table in Corinna.
It's mowing season. And Bad Boy Mowers has the best lineup in the game. Built to win with more power, advanced engineering, and performance that never quits. Whether you're playing on this field or this field. So this mowing season, raise your game and join the team. Bad Boy, mow with an attitude.
Playing it safe won't propel Maine forward. Conservative Jonathan Bush agrees. A new kind of Bush. He believes Maine needs to diversify our economy, cut property and income taxes. Conservative, Republican, disruptor, Jonathan.
We are the Dillos. We are from Northern Kentucky. Being out in a rural area, coverage is pretty hit and miss with other carriers, so switching to T-Mobile solved a lot of problems that we had.
I'm able to use T-Satellite now. We've got coverage no matter where we're at.
America's best network meets off-the-grid satellite coverage with T-Satellite. And now switch to T-Mobile and get free phones for $0 down. Plus 4 lines for only $25 per month per line.
Better service, better price, win-win.
You know Matt pretty well. Did he give you any advice?
He said that I should use 26 words or more.
25 words or less.
Wed,
Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
You just won it!
Weekdays at 9 on Fox 22.
The Farmer's Table in Corinna brings you outstanding breakfasts, lunches, and dinners made from farm-grown fresh ingredients. Dinner specials are available every day. Enjoy our homemade desserts, and above all, bring your appetite to the Farmer's Table in Corinna.
Tickets for the 2028 Los Angeles Olympics are now on sale, and while the race is on to grab tickets, the sky-high prices could cause some fans to be priced out. Brandon McKnight and his family are planning to see the games, but tickets, well, they're not cheap. Their hearts were set on gymnastics at Crypto.com Arena and some swimming at Sophie Stadium, but they settled for archery and track and field prelims.
Swimming was $1,200.
Oh my gosh.
Gymnastics was $800, depending on what you wanted to get. Most of them were actually sold out. I couldn't even see a price.
Wow. Well, the LA 28 team says the tens of thousands of $28 tickets still exist, mostly for preliminary events. And more than a quarter of tickets available are under $200, with more inventory expected to drop soon. So you may want to wait if you plan to go to see the Olympics. Meanwhile, the Department of Inland Fisheries and Wildlife took some time to recognize exceptional service among its ranks, including naming Game Warden Sergeant Chad Robertson as the Game Warden of the Year. According to the department, Robertson is a 13-year veteran of the Maine Warden Service and patrols the greater Skowhegan area. They say Warden Robertson is consistently one of the busiest wardens in the state, producing strong cases on a variety of violations, including night hunting, hunting big game in closed seasons, bag limits, illegal hunting by felons, and other issues. Robertson has also played a significant role in recruiting and training new game wardens, and also serves as a canine handler. He and his canine Storm were deployed 24 times last year and located 6 missing people. Congratulations to Warden Robertson. And a Bactrian camel named Sophia has been born at a zoo in Bedfordshire, UK. The long-legged camel was born on March 21st to Mom Izzy and Dad Oakley at the Whipsnade Zoo. A camel keeper at the zoo says Izzy gave birth right in the middle of the paddock while visitors were driving by. Sophia brings the Bactrian camel herd at the zoo up to 8. There are fewer than 950 wild camels left in the deserts of Mongolia and China, as hunting and water scarcity caused by humans is largely to blame. Zoo officials gave the calf the full name of Sophia Raffles, who was the first woman to become a fellow for the charity in 1826, making the Zoological Society of London the first society to allow women in the UK. The society will now celebrate its 200th anniversary at the end of the month, and they have a brand new camel to help them celebrate that milestone as well. A beautiful animal. All right, that'll do it for this hour, folks. We thank you so much for joining us. Susan Farley will be here next for ABC 7 News at noon with all the day's latest news. We hope you'll tune in for that. And in the meantime, just thank you for being there. We really appreciate it. And we hope you have a wonderful day.
Today on 25 Words or Less. After quitting medicine, he was cast in General Hospital, but he managed to avoid typecasting by not being very good. It's Matt Eisman. And joining Matt are siblings Anais and Joji. You've seen him on RuPaul's Drag Race. And let's be honest, seeing him really is the best way to experience him. It's Ross Matthews.